If you're a buyer and you've been waiting for good news in the real estate market, this video is for you. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I know my buyers have been getting nothing but bad news for the last 2 years, right? First it was rising prices, then it was, over offer prices, right? We were putting 100,000 on top of appraised values. We were competing with 10, 15, 20 offers, all really strong offers. Then when things kind of started to slow down, we started getting rising interest rates. So I know it has been a really tough market for buyers in the North Texas area and even across the country. However, I'm here to give you a little bit of good news if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, we think that hottest market, that ship has sailed, right? We saw those crazy offers. We had the multiple bids. We had the $100,000 and $200,000 over appraised value. Why is it coming to a halt and when did it end? Well, personally, I felt the shift about 12 days ago. I listed a home on the market. We really did expect we were gonna get $100,000 over list price. There was no reason we shouldn't. This house was perfect. You should have seen the backyard. The pool was an oasis. It backed up to a green belt with a creek and a walking trail. And this house was over 3,000 square feet, priced at $750,000. $850 was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, we listed, I think, on the day that we started feeling the shift. So even though we received some strong offers, even though we received tons of showings and we did have a little competition, it was very different. We did not end up contracting at $850. We did have a strong offer, and it fell apart because we had something fall apart down the line on their purchase in another state. So this is the reason I'm telling you the story. The reason I'm telling you the story is because we hit this literally 12 days ago, and I've started talking to other agents, and I've started seeing homes sit on the market a few days longer, right? Before, if it was on the market for 3 days, something was wrong with it. I do have clients who have been saying to me for the last 2 years, man, this house has been listed for 5 days or 6 days or 7 days. Is something wrong with it? Well, no, even in that crazy market, nothing was wrong with it. Those were generally still going over list price. Maybe they, for some reason, were holding out, right? Maybe they needed a few more days. Maybe they were out of town. Anyways, I digress a little bit to tell you that in the last 12 days, the market has shifted. We are feeling the shift for full force. And what that means is we are not competing with a ton of other buyers. We might have multiple offers, but what I am seeing as a listing agent is that those offers are coming in at or slightly above list price. We do not have buyers right now, and I'm saying a blanket statement, but I don't mean that there won't be exceptions. I do not mean that somebody might not show up with $100,000 because they have to have this house. What I'm saying is, as a general rule, I think this market has shifted, and I think this is good news for our buyers. At least a little bit of good news in what we've been fighting for the last 2 years. So here's what has happened, and here's why it has happened. What has happened is the interest rates rose, right? So if you were previously qualified at 3 or 3.5% for somewhere around $700,000, and suddenly the rates are closer to 6%, your affordability probably took a nosedive. So instead of being able to qualify at $700, maybe now you're only qualifying around $600, right? So we're seeing a pretty big gap for some of our buyers depending on that debt to income ratio and affordability. So that has made an impact. Now, the question I've been asked is, that part I understand, but why aren't we paying $100,000 over, right? That person who was offering at $700,000 still had the $100,000 cash. Now they have $600,000. Why aren't they offering that $100,000 of cash? Well, based on some conversations with my clients and just watching the market and seeing what's happening, most of us don't keep our cash in the bank. We don't keep it under the mattress. We keep it in the stock market, or we keep it in a 401k. We keep it someplace where it can earn income, where it can earn percentages, where we can increase our wealth and our value. So our interest rates went up and our stock market took a tank. That means that the cash we have sitting in the stock market is not as accessible as it was 90 or 120 days ago. That cash is no longer available for the majority of our buyers. So if I was a buyer 3 or 6 months ago and I was going to drop $100,000 cash, I might have been pulling it out of a 401k from a borrow standpoint, or maybe I was literally cashing out some stocks. Today, that is less appetizing, right? I don't want to pull money out of the stock market right now. It's at a low, an all-time low. And so we're keeping our cash there. We are not cashing out. That has caused some serious changes in our North Texas housing market. So this is what we're dealing with. And here's what I want my buyers and sellers to know. For my buyers, I want you to know that we are still buying and selling homes every single day. We are still getting clients under contract. Yes, the affordability may have changed. The values may have changed. However, your competitive opportunity has also shifted, which means if you are a strong buyer with well-qualified credit scores and you have a good lender backing you and you're ready to contract, you are likely now to get the home that you want at slightly above list price and not have to bring that $100,000 cash that you were originally planning on. So we're going back to those appraisal values. That's great news for buyers. For sellers, is this bad news for you? It could be, depending on how you look at it, right? If you sold your home 45 days ago, you sold it at the absolute top of market. We were getting crazy competitive offers. We were getting a lot of cash over. We had buyers going in and waiving appraisals and waiving inspections and doing all of these things in order to be super competitive. Well, the fact that that piece is gone, yeah, it's hurting the sellers in the way that you might not get $100,000 overvalued. However, we are not seeing a value drop. We are not seeing a significant change in the overall market right now from what we would call a stable market. So, what I think you can expect, we are going to see homes sitting longer than 3 days. I know my personal buyers, a lot of them have buyer fatigue, and we are waiting till day 6, 7, or 10 to actually view a property. If it's still on the market, we want to see it. So, sellers, don't stress out when your house hasn't sold on day 3. Because you don't have an offer in the first 30 minutes does not mean that your house is not going to sell or that you're not even going to get a really strong offer. It just means that we're probably going to take a little more time. Our buyers are taking a step back. We're reviewing what's on the market, and then we're going after it after it's been a few days. We are no longer willing to truly compete at the highest level because we don't have to. On another little side note, we are seeing builder inventory. We have not had builder inventory in nearly 2 years. We still have slowdowns in construction. We still have items that are on back order. We still have things that are limiting our ability to get a ton of builder inventory. But we have builder inventory that is coming available for the general public. The builders have been working their tails off for the last 2 years, building homes as fast as they can contract them. Now they are in the phase where they are building homes to be contracted. They've caught up a little bit. We've missed that or passed that big mass line, right? We had 3,000 people on a wait list. Even though we still have wait lists, even though we still have a lot of buyers in the market, our sellers or our builders are starting to send us inventory lists. So I am seeing 4, 6, 10, 15 homes by some builders in some neighborhoods. That's great news because we can actually get these under contract. We can make an appointment this week and get a home under contract. It may not be done for several months, but it has already started, and the process is going to be much, much simpler than it was for the last 2 years. So I hope you guys are hearing this as the good news that it is, because the more stable our housing market is, the more stable the rest of our economy can be. And we know we're in for a tumultuous ride based on the current economics. But that doesn't mean we should stop buying houses or that we should stop selling houses, right? We all need to make moves for different reasons. Some of us don't have to go anywhere. We're going to sit still. Some of us are going to have to move for work, for family, for financial needs. So don't be scared of the market. Even at our current interest rates, I know they're much higher than what we've seen for the last 20 years, right? I know we've had some little ups and downs in there, but for the most part, we've had really, really low interest rates for the last 20 years. We can expect these interest rates to stick around now that we're around that 6% mark. Doesn't mean that they won't fluctuate, go up, go down, but this is still really good interest. If you put it into perspective, when you go and open a credit card, you're probably at 21% interest. So 6% interest on a home purchase is really not that bad. I know it seems kind of tough to stomach right now, but we're not in for a crash. That's not what we're seeing. That's not what we're expecting from a real estate standpoint. We are expecting a settling. We're not expecting big value losses, but we are expecting some settlement. So for those of you who did pay $100,000 or $200,000 over appraised value, that's going to be tougher to recoup. It's going to take longer. For those guys that got in right there around appraisal values or slightly over, I think you're going to be in a really good spot. If you have any questions about our market, about what's happening, about what we might be able to expect, my crystal ball is broken, so I will not be able to give you a definitive answer. but I am happy to tell you what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, and what I think you can expect. I would love to chat with you, and if you're thinking about moving to the prosperous Salina, Collin County area, I hope you'll reach out to me. I'd love to be a resource for you, and we'll see you around town.